right, guys. Long time no see. You probably haven't seen me in a minute. I think last time it was Michael Fisk, and then, gosh, I guess the month before that was the last time you saw me. So it's been a while, but I'm here in the conference room with Andy. Not out in the woods, nowhere crazy like usual, wherever he wants to bring me. Just something short and sweet that he wants to update you guys on, but safety message, just like always, if you are driving or you need your full attention on something, just go ahead and close out of this. We'll have it on our Facebook page for a while. Facebook just updated their whatever you want to call it, their policy on saved videos, so you might not see a lot of our old videos anymore on there because now we can only keep them on there for a month. So that's just a good opportunity to promote our YouTube. Go on our YouTube if you want to go look at all of our stuff. It's just, Tri-State Trucking, Tri-State Motor Transit, however you want to find it. All our old stuff's going to be on there from here on out. So give it a second. Let me know if you pop in the chat, say what's up, let us know what you're doing. But yeah, I think I'm just going to go ahead and flip it over to Andy, and he's going to take it from here.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. It's good to see you guys. It's been a little while since I've been on here as well, so good to kind of connect and talk again. Few just safety reminders that we have that we wanted to kind of remind you. You've probably seen them in JD's weekly forecast. First one is physicals. This is a reminder that we do need not only your physical certification page, we also need that long form. So make sure when you're getting your DOT physicals, make sure you're sending us both the cert, but also that long form as well, because we do need that on file. It's also important that we're certifying that with the state as soon as we get that. There are some states that we can do that for if you request that. There are a few states that you still have to physically walk into that office to be able to certify that with your state and get it on your MVR. So make sure that you're certifying those with the state. That way we can prove that that's on your MVR and we can continue to roll. No driver fitness violations in that category. So physicals, make sure that we're doing that. It's also still really important that you're checking that federal registry to be able to make sure that the physician you are going to is on that federal registry and that they are a DOT approved doctor. If you're doing that, there is a link on the RMG Connect app. If you go into the RMG Connect app, you click on the little hamburger drop down menu. There is some helpful websites and stuff in that section. That way, that's one of them that you can check to see if your doctor is on that DOT registry still yet. Just because he was on it a year ago, 2 years ago, whenever you got your physical, does not mean that he kept his status up since then. So make sure that you're double checking that before you get that physical, and then send that in to us whenever you get that. Next topic that I really wanted to kind of hit on is electronic devices still yet in the truck. It's very, very important still yet that we are getting prepared to drive before we ever push those brakes in and start driving. That's not only your cell phone, all that kind of stuff. It means we've got to have our GPS set the right way. We need to have our phone completely done away so you don't have to touch that while driving. There have been several violations on our industry written for not just handheld cell phones, but they're also citing them for handheld electronic devices. That can be any electronic device. It can be your GPS, it can be your phone, it can be the Qualcomm. So big point of fact, just clear, and so we don't have any violations in that area is any type of electronic device that you need to touch while driving down that road, you need to pull over to a safe place to do that. So that's a really big one that we wanted to touch on. Just continuing to remind everybody, it's not just cell phones anymore that are being cited for that. Make sure that you're not touching any type of electronic device. Pretty much just minimize your distracted driving is the goal there. So that's the safety reminders I really wanted to hit on today. I was at a Missouri Safety Summit last week. We talked about a whole lot of different safety topics, safety data, things that we're seeing in the state of Missouri. So I wanted to go over some of the accident data numbers that we have here in the state of Missouri, and we've kind of compared those against some other states too, and they're seeing similar trends in those other states. So I think that these numbers can pretty well cast across the board. Their percentages may be a little bit off here and there, but there's some things that we can learn from some of these percentages. One of the surprising things that I thought was, of all of the vehicles out on the road, commercial motor vehicles, believe it or not, only make up 5.2% of the vehicles on the road, which I would have assumed that there was more trucks on the road than cars. That's definitely true for interstates, but it may not be true for your smaller city traffic, things like that, especially in that city rush hour traffic, that kind of stuff. So we only make up 5.2% of the population of vehicles on the road. On the other side of that, there's an alerting fact that we are involved in 22.2% of the accidents on the road. So that's a little bit of a concerning number, because we're a small percentage of numbers, but we are involved in a lot of the crashes out there. So just at first look on that number, it gets to be a little alarming. But if you'll bear with me, we'll dive in a little bit deeper on those numbers. So out of the last 4 years in the state of Missouri, there has been 458 fatality crashes in the state of Missouri, which is a high number. We strive for 0 fatality crashes, but out of the last 4 years, there's been 458 fatality crashes. Of those crashes, only 23% of those crashes were determined to be the sole fault of the commercial motor vehicle driver. So we may be involved in a large percentage of the crashes, but we are not the majority of the reason or the cause that they're happening. So we're doing really well in that, and that's a really good fact on our side of things. Whenever they combine the fatality crashes and the serious injury crashes, in the state of Missouri alone, we had 1,846 crashes in the last 4 years that were either a fatality or a serious injury crash. Of all of those crashes, commercial motor vehicles were only responsible or at fault for 26% of those. So there's still work to be done in that, but we are by far the lower percentage of at-fault crashes out there on the road. But 26 is still room for improvement. So whenever they dove into the data and they start looking at crash reports and stuff, they try to find out, of those 26% that the commercial motor vehicle driver was at fault, they try to find out what was the leading cause and what led up to it, what was the behavior that caused that crash. The number one for commercial motor vehicle drivers, causes for crash, the number one behavior is an improper lane change. So that would be usually minor where we're changing lanes, car was in the blind spot, something like that, and we end up making contact with the vehicle there. And these numbers and behaviors are for all severities, not just the fatalities or the serious injuries. These behaviors are for all severities of crashes, so minor fender benders all the way up to a fatality. So improper lane changes was number one behavior. So being able to double check those blind spots, being able to keep track with your mirrors, know what's happening 360 degrees around that vehicle, that's still a really important part of our industry. The second one is too fast for conditions. I know that here in the state of Missouri, we are having beautiful golf and fishing weather. So as beautiful as it is here in the state of Missouri, that doesn't mean it's beautiful everywhere. Our great white north up in Canada is still having snowstorms, so we still need to be prepared for that winter driving. We still instill into all of our drivers, all of our fleet, you guys have the power. If it's not safe to be out on the road and you need to park the vehicle, we want to park that vehicle. If it is safe to still be rolling, but you need to do that at a slower speed, we empower you to do that as well. That we rely on your professionalism and your training to be able to know what the factors are to be able to stay safe in those situations. So too fast for conditions, that can be any kind of weather related thing, whether that be a heavy snow, a heavy rain, fog, ice, anything like that, and we're going too fast for that environment, and that causes the accident. That's our number two for our industry for commercial motor vehicle drivers. Number three is following too close. That's why we make sure that we are coaching on all of our dash cam footage. Whenever we get a dash cam alert and we call you on that for following distance, that's a behavior that we want to fix because it's the number 3 on a list for causes of accident, and we don't want any of our drivers to be in any kind of an accident. So that's kind of where that coaching comes in. If you're being coached on a following distance, please take that seriously. Extend that following distance out so we've got that good safe space. You're protected, so are the vehicles around you. And the fourth is distracted driving, which kind of surprises us now with the new world of cell phones and all these distractions that we have in trucks and cars. But for the commercial motor vehicle, that has now dropped down to number 4 for causes of accidents. Of course, we all know, we've been talking about this for a long time. Distracted driving, I just spoke about it in the beginning of this live. A lot of electronic devices, they're a big distraction, but it's regulated where we can't use those while we're driving. So as long as we follow the regulations, it's there for our safety. So that number hopefully just continues to drop down further and further on that list as we do away with more and more of those distractions in the truck. So that's the top 4 for commercial motor vehicle drivers that cause accidents of that 26%. I also wanted to cover what the cause is by the non-commercial motor vehicle is. And the number 1 is an improper lane change. Just like, believe it or not, the commercial motor vehicle being the cause of an improper lane change was our number 1, it's their number 1 as well. Their number 2 is a failure to yield the right of way. And any driver out there on the road is going to be able to view that very situation in your head. Whenever you are in either stop and go traffic, busy traffic, road construction, and there's that zipper where people are trying to merge in, and a few too many cars are trying to get in there, the commercial motor vehicle may continue forward. The car continues to scrunch in, and even though the commercial motor vehicle has the right of way, the cause of that car coming over and hitting us causes the crash and creates a crash report. My advice to anybody in that merge situation, it's better to give way. Let that car in, because the headache of having to have the accident and the crash report and all that kind of stuff is not worth the 2 seconds it could have led to just back off and let them in. The emotions of the situation as us drivers, there's that little bit of, I've already let 4 cars in, it's not your turn. It doesn't matter whose turn it is. It's safer for us just to let that car in. And you can see that in the first 2 of their categories. That's what causes most of their accidents, where their fault is them coming into the other vehicle that has the right of way. So keep that in mind, keep that in track. Keep a cool head while you're out there in those high traffic situations. That way you can let that person in, brush that off your shoulder, and keep on driving safe. Their number 3 is distracted driving, and we see that a lot in 4-wheel vehicles still yet. Everybody's on a cell phone, people doing their makeup, sadly enough, people reading a book. It's insane out there. We all see it. So those distractions are their number 3 reason that they're actually involved in a crash where they're at fault. And number 4 for them is still yet following too close. It's still a thing, even though cars can stop a lot quicker than a commercial motor vehicle. It's still a number 1 cause for their accidents. They're following too closely, just like we are. But the average driver of a 4-wheel vehicle does not have the defensive driving training that a commercial motor vehicle driver has. And so that's the importance of, we want to have our cushion to be able to cushion away from their irresponsible situations like that. So a lot of numbers, a lot of boring data to a lot of people. Back in the day, I would have said all this information is boring. It's not just the numbers, it's what we can learn from the numbers and kind of learn some techniques and remind us of things that we want to do out there on the road. Keep us safe, keep your space cushion, take that time to prep to be able to be ready to run that shift. Get everything situated so you don't have any distractions. If you drop anything in the floor of the vehicle, it's way better to leave that sitting in the floor. Find a good safe place to take care of that situation. rather than trying to reach down and take care of it while you're still driving, because that's an extreme distraction. I once dropped my whole entire thermos of coffee and let it leak out all over my floor because I didn't want to be distracted trying to pick that up and stuff while I was going down on the road. So I had to find another thermos of coffee because we all need our coffee in the morning. But it was kind of a upsetting situation. I lost my coffee, but I didn't have an accident over it. So it's a big thing there. So prep for driving. Take the extra little bit of time to be able to prep for it. Be prepared for your shift. Stay away from those electronic devices while you're driving. If you need to, pull over, take care of those. I always like to end this. A big talk for me is still yet time equals safety. Anytime that we have an issue and it comes down to somebody getting injured, a violation because we didn't check our shipping papers, run our placards the way we needed to, anytime we're rushing, that's when things happen that we don't want to happen. So make sure you take the time to be out there, be safe. Time equals safety. I always end this with, I appreciate what you guys do every single day, staying out there in the industry, keeping our world moving. So keep up the great work. Stay safe out there. We'll talk to you next time.